Shami Yashar'AL, AHAYAH, Alahyanawah, AHAYAH, Accad, Shabbat, Shalawam, Barak, Athah. Welcome to World War III. Our reference today will be Antiquities of the Jews, Book 8, Chapter 1, Section 1, Level 2. And today's discussion will be on direct taxation and slavery. Now, 31 CFR Part 306.10, and in Notes 2 and Note 3, there's something considered the black tax and or Indian tax exemption. We'll say the black tax, which is pretty much a reparations, where they're being exempt from paying taxes. And in these notes, it says that this exemption does not exist in IRS Code. There is no reparations, folks. The Internal Revenue Service can be used to target political enemies, and we have found that out in 2009, I believe, with the Republican Party's Tea Party movement. Now, let's go back in history around the year 100 AD, plus or minus years. There was, in the Antiquities of the Jews, Book 8, Chapter 1, again, this, and it's, quote, Judas, a Gaulonite, of a city whose name was Gamala, who, taking with him Saddouk, a priest, became zealous to draw them to a revolt, who both said that this taxation was no better than an introduction to slavery, unquote. Now, you Hebrews, listen up. This is your ancestors, your forebears, saying that taxation is the introduction to slavery. When we go to the Continental Congress ambassador, whose name is Benjamin Franklin, also the president of Pennsylvania at the time, in Franklin's memoirs, he realized that the British Parliament taxation was actual slavery in Colonial America. See, before he was all for taxation, for the betterment of his people. And till he later realized that this taxation became overwhelming, and he considered it slavery. And he is famously quoted as saying, "Nothing is sure but death and taxes." Again, taxes being slavery. Now, the Boston Tea Party of December 16, 1773, it was orchestrated because there was the Tea Act of 1773, which was 13 George III, citation 44, which started that Boston Tea Party. And another tax, which was called the Duties in the American Colonies Act of 1765, and it was cited as 5 George III, citation 12. Again, these taxations were heavy upon the colonials, so they decided that they were going to get rid of King Georgie. They gave him the middle finger, and they got their independence by Revolutionary War. So today we'll come along in history up to Eric Hampton Holder the Jr. And he was the 82nd Attorney General, first black Attorney General. And the word general, in any sense of the United States government company, that word general means it's either speaking on behalf of the president or speaking on behalf of the United States of America. So this Attorney General, who was speaking on behalf of the United States of America or the United States President, he conducted research, an inquiry into the Internal Revenue Service, and found out that the Tea Party was being targeted. And the Tea Party today, which is a part of a sanction of a part of the Republican Party, the Tea Party, was formed on February 19th, 2009. Now, what the IRS, the Internal Revenue Services, or the IRS, in their subtitle C, employment taxes, sections 3101 through 3510, they are taking direct taxes out of the pay of the United States people, or the American people. I want to make the difference between the United States and the American people, because the United States government is a government company. The American people are the American people. Now, with that being said, as the colonials, they did not like the taxation of the royal government above them, so they eliminated it. They protested and they fought a war and they got rid of King George and his slavery tactics of taxation. His slavery tactics of taxation. They got rid of it, as recorded in American history. Now, for the Negro, that taxation was you. You see, your ancestors was a part of that taxation system. They called your ancestors 3/5 of a person, which had a head tax over them. Before you became the African American, the Negro, the NIGGER, those black terms, before you became all that, you were Indians, you were Hebrews, you were Indigenous, you were the original peoples of the planet. But they put you on their taxation system so that they can tax you as citizens. And there's an ex-slave that goes by the name the Black Texan, and you can see him in the slave narratives. You can find him in the slave narratives, and he said that the United States was in a hurry after the Civil War. They were in a hurry to make the Negroes citizens of the United States. Why? Because if you're a citizen, they can put that direct tax on you. Now, we don't have, as Negroes, today we don't have a Negro representative at the United Nations. The United Nations had people like Nimrata or Nikki Haley, former United States. And when I say United States, I'm meaning government company. I'm not saying the people, which is Americans, but the United States government company. And she was the former United States ambassador to the United Nations. And she spoke on behalf of the Ashkenazi Jewish people who are in the land of Israel, what we call Northeast Africa. They call the Middle East. So she spoke on behalf of a people who are not even United States citizens, but she spoke on them for their well-being there. She did not speak on the people who are in the United States here for decades long being recorded on police cameras as being terrorized by the police. She did not speak on those terms. We also have Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr., who is senator and majority leader. Majority of who? The privileged people. He's a majority leader, and he said that reparations is not a good idea. This is someone that's supposed to be speaking on behalf of the American people. But he said that this reparations is not good for the United States, which is the government company. But he's supposed to be speaking on the American people, or speaking on behalf of the American people. He's trying to save the United States government company. Please know that. Now, again, we don't have anybody to speak on behalf of the Negro problem in America. And that Negro problem for us is the terrorism of the United States government company. where they make up these laws that they can kill us and say, hey, take a break. You police officers go take a paid vacation. And, Malcolm X was a good candidate to go to the United States or the United Nations. Some reporter asked him if he was going to go on his return from Africa, or from Saudi Arabia and Africa. On his return from his voyage, he said that yes, he would go to the United Nations and speak on the Negro problem in the United States. He was murdered, and the murderers were paid and financed and instructed by the United States FBI and CIA. That is a fact. The other person that was a good candidate was Dr. Martin Luther King. The good doctor was murdered or assassinated by the United States military, by the United States Army, by the FBI and CIA agents. Now, if you don't believe that, and you can go to the King family website and see that in 1999, in a Tennessee court case, the United States was found guilty of assassinating Dr. Martin Luther King. You're not going to hear that on television. You're not going to see that in the news, but it happened in Tennessee. So, and again, Malcolm X told us the hypocrisy of democracy is not happening for us. So we need somebody to go and talk for the Negro, if that's what you want to call yourselves. The American dream. We are awakening from this American nightmare because you keep terrorizing us. And some might say, well, what has the police done to you? How are you being, what experience do you have? Well, I'm a three-time victim of police brutality while I was a kid. A three-time victim. And while I was dressed and impressed in military uniform, an act of conspiracy happened against me while I was in uniform. The Federal Military Police Report number 00311-2014-MPC 002. I had to go through the Freedom of Information Act to get this police report to show to you that on a military base, theft and conspiracy happened against me. Theft and conspiracy. So, and I'll show you guys in the pictures. I'll attach some pictures. You guys can go to Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening and see the attached pictures and all the stuff that these guys wrote. Now, when you Negroes say, you black people, or whatever color code you want to call yourselves, when you say that, when you agree with the privileged society that is protecting the government company, and you say that reparations is not needed, just remember that if you go into a store like McDonald's and get your hand burned, you're going to press and get reparations from McDonald's. Or if somebody prepares a peanut butter sandwich for your child and your child is allergic to peanuts, you're going to try and sue for reparations to get repairs because your child has been damaged. And if you continue to press the idea that there's not enough money, or the United States government company should not pay for the 400 plus years that they are still terrorizing Negroes today, then you are not a Negro. And you can be thrown into that privileged society like Oprah Winfrey or Jay-Z, who they are already paid, so they don't have to worry about being repaired by any means. They have made so much money that they don't have to worry about it. You can be in that category, but for the rest of us who are being damaged by a government company that is saying that they're not going to pay, and they have these representatives who are saying they are representing the American people, but only are saviors to the United States government company. This is erroneous. This should not be happening. And again, if you are one of those people, if you are one of those privileged people, whether you are white, black, or whatever color code you want to describe yourself, then you are asking the Negroes to continue to be suppressed, enslaved, and captured as hostages to this United States government company. And get this, for the rest of you listeners, that direct tax is coming out of your hard-earned money as well. You were slaves too. With that being said, I am your Hebrew Israelite. I'm your conscientious objector and an administrator of peace. Hebrew Israelite out.